Now, what we have is the word literally. Literally this, literally that. I'm literally blown away. I'm literally on cloud nine. You are not literally on cloud nine. I'm on cloud nine, but you're not literally. You're not sitting on an actual physical structure called cloud nine. Literally, the most misused word on the internet right now is the word literally. Literally. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be discussing how this word has become the most misused word in recent history. And this is not new. Over time, phrases and words catch trends, and then everybody likes to say and use them. But oftentimes, those trends come with people misusing those words. The word has just become popular, and everybody wants to, without even trying, just say it. It just pops up because they hear it all the time. It pops up in their conversations. And the words many times assume a different meaning from what the actual meaning is. One of those words is the word literally. I used to be one of those guys who loved learning new words. I would literally, you heard that, but this time I'm using it correctly. I would literally be on the sofa reading. Is that usage even correct? Well, but I would be on the sofa lying down, reading the dictionary. I did that all the time. My mom would come back from work and see me on the sofa. She knew me for that, reading the Oxford Dictionary. My sister had this Oxford Dictionary, part of a book list for school. BHS just. And I would take that dictionary anytime she was on holidays and read. I love the pictures, I love the illustrations in the dictionary. I would read, I would learn new words, and I did not stop at learning those words. I like to find ways to use those words. So if I learned a new word, best believe within that week, it would find a way to come up in a conversation. In some way, I would just say it. So that was it. I still do a bit of that these days. I like learning new words, but not as much as I used to. It wasn't something I tried to do. I don't know, it just came natural to me. I first started saying the word literally in publications, maybe in books, heard it in movies, but it wasn't that popular. And I found ways to use it myself. But soon enough, I started seeing that word was evolving. The first evolution was how people, when the word started gaining popular usage, I noticed people would say literally instead of literally. So now I'm not talking about right or wrong usage. They could be using the word rightly in terms of its intended meaning, but they would say, I literally jumped when he yelled. They actually jumped. The meaning of that word is when something actually happens, not when it's used as a metaphor or an idiom or something. So someone says, I literally jumped when you came in, or I literally jumped when I heard the news, to describe how they actually jumped off the floor. That's right usage. That usage is not incorrect. However, people would say, I literally instead of literally. There are many other examples. If you've used the word that way, put it in the comment. I'd love to see how you've heard people misuse that word by mispronouncing it. That's the first form of misuse that I observed people do. And I'll just think about it in my mind, how yes, those two words are similar, but literally is not the same as literally. They are two separate words. So over time, as the word gained traction, in my view, everything I'm saying is in my view, as I heard more and more and more people use it, I started noticing the trend of how people were now using it to mean something completely different from what the actual word means. The word literal means actual, when something actually occurred, or the way something really is. Not when it's used as a proverb, as an idiom, not when you're describing the superlative form of something, not when you're trying to emphasize something, which is how people use it these days. They use it for emphasis, they use it to describe the superlative form of what's occurring, Now I'll give you a few examples. Imagine someone talking like I am talking now on a YouTube channel, and they're describing a book they've just read, and they're trying to convey to you how wonderful the book was when they read it, and they say, wow, the book was so good, it was so good, it literally blew my mind. It literally blew my mind. Of course, that's wrong. Literally blowing your mind means, or would suggest, that the book exploded and your mind was a physical structure that was shredded apart by shrapnels from the book. which had become an explosive. And we know that didn't happen. The book did not literally blow your mind. But we know in that sense, you're using that word literally as, to emphasize something or to describe the superlative form of whatever it is you're trying to say. That's wrong usage. Or they might say, oh, I heard the news. It was a literal eye-opener. I should say here, though, interestingly, that you can use the word literally with some wit to actually mean what it's meant to mean. In the last example I gave, where the news literally opened my eyes, it could be that you were closed-eyed at the time, your eyes were shut, and the radio is there, someone is talking, and they said, the Nigerian naira currently exchanges at 50 naira to $1. You were closed-eyed. The Nigerian naira currently exchanges at 50 naira to $1. You know that yesterday it was 1,600 to 1 naira. Right now the news is saying it's 50 naira. And you opened your eyes in shock and disbelief. You could say the news literally opened my eyes. Well, if you stretch it, I would say you can fit it in to being correct. You can fit it into being correct. Even though the news did not come out physically and use hands or use force to pull your eyes open. But you see, you actually opened your eyes. But when people say it was a literal eye-opener, we know you're not saying about your actual eyes. We know you're talking about it's opening your mind, giving you understanding, giving you clarity into something. In that sense, you can't say the news literally opened your eyes. There are many other examples. I'm curious to know how you are currently using that word. Before I end this, let me just add that there are many other words or phrases that have caught trends like this in the past. One phrase I remember is the phrase as in. People still use that phrase now, but there was a time when the trend, particularly in Nigeria, I don't know if it was all across West Africa, but particularly in Nigeria, that phrase as in was very popular. I remember how my sister would say, Ayotunde, get the Coke from the fridge, as in give it to mom. It was always funny to me. Or another way people use that phrase was they would say, no, even till now, they still do. They use the phrase as in to corroborate what the first speaker is saying and to add some stamp of corroboration to it. Like, what you're saying is really true. For instance, someone might say, young people these days are so problematic. Then you respond by saying, as in, what you're saying is what you're saying. I know, right? It's true, right? But that phrase, as in, is no longer as popular as it used to be. Back in the day, everybody was saying it. Now, what we have is the word literally. Literally this, literally that. I'm literally blown away. I'm literally on cloud 9. You are not literally on cloud 9. I'm on cloud 9, but you're not literally. You're not sitting on an actual physical structure called cloud 9. Let me know how you use that phrase wrongly. Another interesting dimension to this is when phrases and words like that become very popular, they might find ways to be incorporated into the dictionary. I looked up the meaning of the word literally in the Oxford Dictionary. I don't know if it's the latest edition, but I did one of the Oxford Dictionary versions online, and it said what the meaning is, which is when something is just the way it is, literally. I looked at another dictionary, and it actually added as informal usage, how people use it for emphasis and all that. With time, maybe it will be formalized that literally now has another meaning. Because I know that words can add new meanings over time depending on popular usage. So let me know how you use the word wrongly or how you've heard people misuse the word literally. I'm eager to hear the outrageous ones particularly. Okay, that's all my time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like this video, like it right now. This is my rant blog channel. Like this video, subscribe. Let me know where you're reading this from. Are there any other phrases or words that people misuse these days? Comment down below. If you've not liked, if you've not subscribed, it takes 5 seconds. Do that right now. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye. Literally bye.